People of the universe, welcome back to the Who Even Are We podcast with Pat and Taylor.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of the podcast. We hope you enjoyed our Deadpool and Wolverine review that came out earlier this week. And yeah, good times.
You should talk like a normal human.
I'm sorry.
So I listened to one of our episodes today, the newest one, and you're too professional. I need you to knock it down a notch. I need you to be a real person.
I'm too professional.
Yes. You sound like an announcer. Unless you want to sound like a professional podcaster, which I guess isn't a bad thing. But I just want to talk to you like, what are you doing?
trying to digest what you just said.
Fix your voice.
Well, on today's episode of the podcast, I'll do my best at whatever that is.
You don't hear it?
I think I just project more and enunciate more.
Okay.
I don't know.
I feel like you're about to delete this and start over.
No.
Okay.
I was scrolling down on the notes for the pod.
I just screwed up his whole flow.
Yeah, I had a great thing going. We were doing good, and then boom.
You can really hear it in that last episode.
Maybe I'm just getting better at this.
I don't know if it's because you're reading off of the list or what's happening.
We'll break the fourth wall. No, we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
So anyways, everybody, apparently I sound like an announcer, but welcome back to the Who Even Are We podcast with Pat and Taylor. So glad to have you here. I wanted to start this episode off a little different because really there's no Gizmo update. And so, is there?
Did we talk about the focaccia already?
Yeah.
That it was good? Yes.
I think so.
Okay. Never mind. Nothing's happening then. Gizmo's just rolling steady.
Well, there you go. He's just chilling, doing what he's got to do.
He's doing good.
So, and because we've already done the record of the week for this week, I figured I'd ask you an icebreaker question. Just a lot of fun here.
I didn't know we were back in college or high school.
Icebreaker question that I've come up with for you, according to a Google search, because I'm not smart enough to come up with these on my own. Would you rather be able to speak 10 languages or play 10 instruments?
10 instruments.
What for?
I don't know. Sounds more fun.
But 10 languages, I mean, you could learn like the top 10 languages in the world and communicate with just about anybody.
I am 29 years old, and apart from English, the only other language I've really needed to learn would be Spanish because of where we live, and I don't travel outside the U.S.
Well, I guess that's a fair point, too.
I mean, I would love to be able to speak multiple languages. I should also figure out how to speak our language properly.
The good old English.
Yeah. Because something I also noticed on our other episode is my lisp is hardcore into this microphone. It's a great time for me.
I don't hear you have a lisp.
Yeah.
So 10 instruments.
Yeah.
What 10 instruments would you learn?
I knew that was going to happen. I really would like to play guitar. Piano.
Only we had one of those laying around.
Only one.
To be fair, I don't know if we've ever addressed this. You're left-handed, and I'm right-handed.
Yes.
So I have all right-handed guitars.
I don't think it matters.
I think it does.
I really don't think it matters.
But I've had the idea, once we start doing video, to try to teach you how to play
I don't want to do
something.
this.
And you're just like, no, veto. Also, I had a good boy walk up to me requesting pets, so he's getting pets right now. Because he's just the goodest boy. He's also being very noisy.
No, he's just a loud boy.
Yeah, he is. So, 10 instruments. You got guitar, that's one.
Guitar, piano. I already play saxophone. There are other instruments in the world. Hold on. Trying to think.
I can start throwing some out for you. Drums.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
The xylophone.
Oh, well. The xylophone is basically the piano.
But it's not.
But it is.
But it's
But
the xylophone.
But it is.
Okay. Clarinet.
No.
Trumpet. Trombone.
No.
The big thing that the people carry around.
Tuba.
The tuba.
No.
There's a lot of instruments out there.
There are.
Bass guitar.
The organ would be fun.
Not just a piano.
There's a full-fledged organ has like pedals and then 2 layers of keys.
That sounds like a lot.
Sounds like I don't have enough hands and feet for that.
I can barely play the guitar halfway decent.
Violin. That's a good one.
How about the mandolin?
How many are we on?
Oh, I lost count.
Yeah,
There's a lot of instruments out there.
there are. And
The
I was put on the spot. I
glockenspiel.
can't think about it right now.
So
I
there's
want
our,
to play the triangle.
hey, as long as it's the electric triangle. All right, so that was our icebreaker. Something else I wanted to talk about, because you've experienced this a lot recently, is just what's going on with Amazon.
It's not Amazon.
It's just the postal service.
It's USPS.
What's going on with the USPS?
Because I've never had a problem with Amazon when it's delivered any other way. And this is really the first time I've had this big of an issue with
I've
it.
had it happen before too, a few times.
But I got an Amazon gift card for Christmas. And pretty much as soon as we got back from Christmas, I ordered 3 things. Not big things. It was watch bands for my new Galaxy watch. Spatulas for Gizmo, which I was really excited about. And new oven mitts, because ours are redonkulous. Well, 2 of those items were shipped together, and it said that they had been delivered like 2 weeks ago. I waited, a couple days or so, because I knew it was right after the holidays. Sometimes, due to our address, our neighbors will get our package, and we're under the understanding that anytime we get each other's mail, just drop it off. That never happened. So I submitted for basically letting Amazon know that my package never arrived. It said that it was delivered in the mailbox. I can assure you, it was not. So they resent it. And then I had another package, which was the spatulas. Separate package, same exact thing happened to it. And I was like, I'm done with this. So today, I canceled the spatula order, got my refund. But I came home, and my watch bands and the oven mitts were here. So that was nice.
Nice little thing to come home
Still
to.
really want those spatulas, though. And since it's an Amazon gift card, the refund went back towards Amazon and not like into my pocket, which would have been better
Yeah.
at this point. Because I can go buy spatulas.
Right. So, I guess it's more an issue with the postal service.
Yeah, I
which-
think I'll probably reorder. I don't know how many times I've said the word spatulas in this episode, but I'm probably going to reorder those and just get them sent to Lowe's or something
Yeah, that would probably be a good idea.
for pickup.
Yeah, the whole thing with, I guess it's actually kind of common where you have like our example, there's a 1, 2, 3 main drive and a 1, 2, 3 main lane.
Mm-hmm.
And we get each other's mail all the time, and it's really annoying.
We're literally like within walking distance to each other.
Yeah, like 2 minutes.
And I was talking to my last customer of the day, and theirs is the same way. They have loop and lane.
Oh my God.
I was like, I need to talk to whoever designed these
Yeah.
lots.
Apparently that's a really common thing though. Like especially in England. I heard
Mhm.
that somewhere and I'm just like, why? There's so many words out there that could be a street.
Well, like, you could just change the numbers.
Yeah. There's a lot of numbers. Well, not really. There's 9, 10.
Well, there's a lot of variations of numbers.
That there is. Yeah, I live at 1874th Street.
That I do have some customers where their addresses are like 6 numbers long. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was trying to think of how long ours was. I was like, wait a minute.
Ours
But no,
is
it's a
4.
lot of like, yeah. It's a bit much.
Figure it out. That's all I'm saying. Figure it out. And the theme with Marvel, we just watched the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies again. And now that they're fresh, like, if you had to, I guess we would have to watch all of them to really compare, but who was the best Spider-Man?
I can tell you who's my least favorite.
Is it Andrew Garfield?
Yes. And nothing against him. He was great in it. He's my least favorite.
And then I'm assuming Tom Holland. And then Tobey Maguire is the best.
I do like Tom's movies, but I also feel like that's unfair because they weren't doing those kinds of movies when Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know if the whole MCU thing was really planned out, but they really tied it together with a nice little bow there.
Yeah, I think that's what's nice because I'd always questioned, kind of like Batman. Why do we have so many different actors?
Because
I assume that they didn't want to do it or something.
either they didn't want to do it or they wanted too much money to do it.
But it gets confusing because you want to connect the dots. Like, my brain wants to connect the dots. Like, I want to think, okay, Tom Holland is the younger one. Like, maybe he grew up into Tobey Maguire or whatever. But I do like the way that they connected the dots in this one, basically with the multiverses.
Talking about
then
No
my
Way
brain
Home.
was like, oh, okay,
Thank you.
closure.
I remember before that one, you're like, I hope they explain the web situation.
Yeah.
Because Tobey Maguire, it's like built in,
Yeah. Which makes sense.
but the rest of them have to make their own web fluid.
Like, why would they have all of the other powers but not that one?
Good point. Because, ants can crawl on walls.
Like, almost feels like the MCU universe or whoever did the producing for it got lazy.
Well, you got to think Tobey Maguire came first. Because in the cartoons that I watched growing up with Spider-Man, he had web cartridges.
Oh.
He couldn't just do it.
Okay. Well, then never mind then.
So
I
think it may have
retract
been-
my statement.
I think it may have been an artistic liberty, as they call it.
Gotcha.
So,
I like it better.
no, I feel like I am so indecisive when it comes to my favorite Marvel movies because, each of them has their own special moments that I like, but, No Way Home was such a good movie. It really tied everything together really well.
Yeah.
Like a nice little bow on top. And so I was watching that yesterday and I was like, I really like this one. This might be my favorite. But then I'm like, no, I'll watch Guardians again and that'll be my favorite. And then I'll watch Thor or
Well,
Iron
because
Man.
every time you watch them, you notice something different.
That's true.
You experience it in a different way.
That movie was longer than I remembered it being too.
Yeah.
That took a while to get through.
Yeah.
So anyway, thought we'd talk about that because we just watched that.
Before we move on to what's next, I wanted to publicly apologize for the way I reacted when you introduced Record of the Week.
Oh, well, thank you.
I did roll my eyes at you. And I was like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And I just want to apologize because it's something you enjoy.
I like
and
collecting
I
records.
should support that. And it's not doing any harm to me. And honestly, it was kind of interesting to listen to today while I was in the bathroom at Walmart.
I think you could have left the last part out of the apology.
I just thought it was funny
thank you.
to put in there. No, I had to pee, and I wanted to keep listening, so I just put my headphone in and went about my business.
Was it last week's record of the week, or it had to have
Blink.
been?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know this week's is The Rising Tide, Fort Minor.
Yeah.
So, today's episode was brought to you by Taylor. She had, and I kind of misinterpreted her idea.
Either way works, I think.
So her original idea was to let AI write an episode for us.
Mm-hmm.
I interpreted that as, let's let AI... I swear to God, I don't know where I came up with this, but I thought you said, let's give AI a single word and have it write a story and we'll just laugh at it.
Close. Well, okay, so I did try to call you twice because I figured it would be confusing through text, but I was in the boonies in Georgia, and my calls wouldn't go through.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't get any calls from you today.
It didn't even ring. It just went, call ended. So what I said to you was we could give GPT?
Chat GPT.
I can't get this right. One word and let them use that word to write a podcast, like a podcast episode. But you interpreted that as we give it one word and it writes a story, which I guess is one and the same. But before we got into this, I did want to preface that I don't want to do this every time because I want us, if we did the episode thing, I don't want to do this a lot because I do want our episodes to be genuinely us.
Yeah.
So just wanted to put that out there. I just thought it would be fun sometimes because I know that they can. I've listened to podcasts where they've done it for them and it's so funny and stupid. So I just thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, no. Up to this point, AI has not written anything.
Clearly.
For
We're just stupid on our own
us.
time.
So this will be a first. And I've been experimenting with ChatGPT a lot lately for a cover for the book that I'm still need to finish writing.
The editing was done by AI, wasn't it? Didn't you try that with that last episode?
Yeah. I've noticed a couple things with it. I'm going to have to tweak
It cut off a
bit.
couple of words, but not bad. You can still figure out what it was saying.
It was supposed to eliminate pauses and then balance the audio.
Yeah.
Because, that has been one of the big struggles.
Yeah.
With recording this is getting the audio to sound correct.
It sounded really good. And, it left some pauses in, which I'm thankful for because I was worried that it was just going to be
I wanted it.
Okay.
I set it to do that because I was like, look, if we eliminate every pause, I just pause there, it's not going to sound natural.
We want to sound normal, yeah. So it did good. There were just a few words that it cut off. Like when you said evanescence or something, it cut half of the word out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really need to go through and proof listen to these.
But it wasn't bad. I got through a few minutes of it and I realized what was happening. I was like, wait, this is the one that he edited. And it wasn't, I could just kind of catch it. We were talking, I don't want to say faster than normal, but there were way less pauses. So then I really started paying attention to, because I didn't know what it was going to do. I was a little bit leery about it because I was like, it's going to take out too much. It might take out the bad things we just said about it.
You do not talk about me like that.
How dare you?
Yeah, no. So experimenting with that for editing the podcast just to save time, honestly, because if I go through and I've done really big edits before and they take hours and hours and hours to do.
Yeah.
And so if I can throw it into AI and get it 75% of the way there, that would be really nice. That would save a lot of time. But as I was mentioning, I was experimenting with it a lot yesterday to try to come up with a cover for my book. And it came up with some really good, there were some good ones. It came up with great images. But the issue that I'd run into is it would ask if there's any edits I'd like it to make. And I would say, keep everything the same, but edit this. and then it would change the entire image.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
That's not what I said.
so maybe I just need to be more detailed when writing into it or something. It probably just picks up on keywords and stuff like that. I really don't know how it works. I'm gonna have to do some more research into it. But
How do you feel about AI and stuff?
it depends on the context. Part of me looks at it as like a useful tool
Mm-hmm.
for like when you can't draw to save your life and you need a cover for your book. But then part of me is like, okay, there's some things that this shouldn't take over, like resume screening and music and creating music. And sometimes it's weird because there are AI programs out there that can replicate voices,
Yeah.
which is scary, like really scary.
Yeah, one of the podcasts I listened to, they did where AI did like, excuse me, an episode where it like talked and it sounded like them. And they're like, yo, this is wild.
I don't like this. I really don't like this. Sometimes it's cool because like some people will do it to be creative, like getting Freddie Mercury to sing "Life Is a Highway" was one of my
Yeah,
favorites. I like that one a lot, but
there's the one on Snapchat, and that's really the only one, well, the stupid one on Facebook. Like, I just want to search.
yeah.
I want to find my mom's profile so I can find this picture that I want to show somebody. Go away. But, so today was actually the first time ever using it because I purposefully avoided it because I do have trust issues with it. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like it's going to take my information.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend putting any personal details into
Yeah.
GPT or
But
any
today
of
I
those services.
experimented with it just to see what would happen with this. And so like I asked it to write an episode just to see what it would say. Yeah, I mean, it did fine. I mean, I did a full-fledged episode. Pauses, introduction, sound effects, everything.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it's used going forward.
Yeah, which, I mean, I guess, like, Siri and stuff is kind of the same. You're just talking to it instead of typing it.
Which Siri really isn't a thing anymore. Now it's Apple Intelligence or something like that.
AI.
Quite literally.
I've never used any of those either because they never worked right on my phone.
It was really cool when it came out. Like, Siri was legit, and then I used it like 3 times, and I was like, okay, I'm over this.
Yeah.
I can just do
I
this
use,
myself.
ALXEA more
Oh,
than
yeah.
anything.
We use that a lot. That works good.
But I don't give her personal information. It does kind of freak me out when it's like, hello, Taylor.
Oh, because of the voice
It doesn't do
recognition?
that, but like it does that for my grandmother. It's like, good morning, Barbara.
It'll do that for me, too.
I'm like, I don't like that you realize who I am in comparison to other people.
Well, I'm glad we don't sound alike. That's
well,
what that's
yeah,
telling
but
me.
also, why do you know my voice?
There's a feature on there that you can turn that off, too.
Hmm.
Like, it's not like you have to do it. The thing I hate with ALXEA, Amazon devices that you speak to that give you answers and turn on lights and stuff, is when I'm just like, hey, golly, ALEXA.
A, just say A.
Hey, Amazon device, turn off the living room light. And it's like, and I'll do it and be like,
I found a routine. Would you like me to do?
by the way, I can do something completely off topic. Would you like me to do that? No.
I just wanted you to do the one thing I asked you to do.
Stop it. And there's no way to turn that off. Amazon,
Yeah.
can we get that fixed, please? Like, let's get that turned off, please.
Yeah.
That stuff's annoying.
Because you spend half your day yelling at her.
Because she'll just start spatting off. Like, I'll be like, Amazon device, turn off the light. And it's like, by the way, I can do jumping jacks underwater. Would you like to try that? And I'm like, what?
I do. It does sometimes make me feel like Tony Stark, though.
I said this a couple years ago. You probably don't remember it, but it'd be really cool if we could change her name to Jarvis or Friday.
Yeah.
Like, that would be...
Or what did Tom Holland?
Oh, he called it Karen.
That was the suit. What were the glasses?
Edith.
Edith.
Even dead, I'm the hero.
Oh,
As
yeah.
an acronym.
Mm,
Tony Stark likes his acronyms.
yeah. Barf.
I liked how they did that one, though. With Mysterion.
Mysterio.
I think it's... Mysterion is South Park, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, yeah. I like how they set him up to be like...
What a villain.
A good guy. And then he was like, ha! Gotcha! Got him!
Yep.
We are so off course here.
Well, not really. Talking about artificial intelligence.
Yeah. It's cool, but at the same time, it's like... we don't have to... It's like...
It worries me because I know that people are going to put too much into it.
I think the other part that kind of worries me is like... So, this is a somewhat okay comparison, but like when COVID came out, everything had COVID on it. Like, you go to a website, it'd be like, our COVID-19 response, and everywhere you looked, no matter what you tried to do, everyone was talking about the coronavirus. And it's like the same thing's happening with AI, where like, if you're not integrating AI into your systems, into your social media or whatever, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's hilarious to me that the government is really worried about TikTok. Meanwhile, we have these AI systems that can literally run the world.
Literally replicate a voice. Completely, not completely, somewhat off base here. There's an alien video. It's like a conspiracy video where they capture this alien at Area 51 and they're interrogating it, and the alien warns of artificial intelligence, and I'm just like, oh, I hope that video wasn't real.
Somebody watch The Simpsons. Is it in there? Tell us what happens.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, that's a whole episode on its own, but I'm not a huge fan of the Simpsons. Nothing against it.
I'm not either, but I have heard like that they've pretty much predicted
a lot
of things.
Like a lot of things. So anyways, getting into the meat and potatoes here. ChatGPT is going to write us some stories. We're going to give it one word and ask it to write a short story based off that one word. And so I'll let you go first.
Well, see, here's the thing. We had two different understandings.
I was just going to have you tell me it. I have ChatGPT pulled up already.
Oh, tell you the word?
Yeah, you just tell me the word.
And then
I'll put
you
it
read
in
it?
here.
That doesn't seem as fun, but okay.
Or, I mean, you could do it from yours too. It doesn't matter.
I mean, all I have is Snapchat.
You can also pull up ChatGPT's website and use it for free. Like, you don't need an account or anything.
I'm going to go with Snapchat.
Well, there you go.
See what happens there. What kind of words are we talking about here?
I'm just throwing out any random word I think of. I have the first one, but...
Is it funny?
Somewhat.
Tell me a story about poop.
We're 5 years old.
Let's see. Tell me a story about punk rock.
Music
It's thinking. I just said punk rock. Literally all I said was tell me.
Oh boy.
Wow. Okay, this is a long one.
That's what I was worried about.
Oh, it's not that bad. I can read it pretty quick. Okay, so I said, tell me a story about punk rock. It said, all right, let's dive into a punk rock story. Once upon a time in the late 70s, there was a small underground scene in London. It was a time of rebellion, and the air was thick with the sound of electric guitars and the spirit of defiance. Among the crowd was a young girl named Jenny. She was tired of the same old pop music and the polished images of mainstream artists. She craved something raw, something real. One night she stumbled upon a dingy little club called The Riff, where a local punk band called the Anarchists was set to perform. The walls were plastered with posters of bands like the Sex Pistols and the Clash. Jenny felt the energy buzzing in the air as she entered, and she instantly knew she was in the right place. As the band took the stage, the crowd went wild. The lead singer, with his wild hair and leather jacket, screamed lyrics about rebellion and social injustice. Jenny felt every note resonate deep within her. She was hooked. The music was loud, chaotic, and unapologetic. It was everything she wanted. After the show, Jenny met one of the band members, and they invited her to join their crew. She started going to shows every weekend, meeting like-minded friends who shared her passion for punk rock. They painted their own clothes, made DIY band patches, and even started their own little zine to promote local acts. As the years went by, Jenny became a part of the punk rock movement. She learned about the history, the ideology, and the importance of standing up for what you believe in. She attended protests and supported causes that mattered to her, all while rocking out to her favorite bands. Eventually, she even picked up a guitar and formed her own band, the Rebels. They played at local venues and spread their message of empowerment and change through their music. Jenny realized that punk rock wasn't just a genre, it was a way of life. A way to express herself and connect with others who felt the same. And so, in the heart of London, the spirit of punk rock lived on through Jenny and her friends, reminding everyone that it's okay to be loud, to be different, and to fight for what you believe in. Well, that wasn't funny at all.
Shout out Jenny. Talk about a great story. Oh my gosh.
I thought that would be more funny than it was, but actually it was pretty moving.
I like that it included the Sex Pistols and the Clash in there, because that's cool, because those are like the OGGs.
That's funny.
By the way, while you were telling the story, you said the band was called the Anarchists, so I looked that up, and apparently it's a young rapper out of Cleveland, Ohio.
I feel like I've heard that before, though.
I mean, if you were a pop punk band called the Anarchists, that would be a good name.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of you're gonna get me on a tangent talking about my love for pop punk here, but the whole ethos of pop punk, and I think Tom said it the best. Tom DeLonge, she knows who I'm talking about. In his documentary, The Pursuit of Tone, is that it's a group of people coming together and celebrating the fact that they're outcast, and the more of an outcast that you feel that you are, the better you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So shout out to Jenny, rocking the world.
Jenny from the block.
Jenny from the block.
Of London.
As long as she's not from Cockney. Anyways. ChatGPT is going to give me, so I asked ChatGPT, can you write a short story based off one word? Yes, I can. Give me a word and I'll craft a story. A short story inspired by it. I'm sorry. I don't know how to spell this word.
I guess mine was 2 words, but same.
Could have said punk.
That's true.
But if you said pop, yeah. So, the word I picked was kaleidoscope. Oh boy. It's writing a book over here.
Well, you specifically said short story, so that was your fault.
Lila found the old kaleidoscope in a forgotten box at the back of her grandmother's attic. It was small, its brass casing dented, and the glass lens cloudy from decades of dust. She turned it over in her hand, marveling at the tiny, colorful beads trapped within its hollow chamber. Try it, her grandmother said from the doorway, her voice soft and knowing. That's a weird sentence. That's what it says.
I understand it.
Lila pressed the lens to her eye and turned the barrel. Instantly, the world transformed. Instantly, the world. I promise I can read.
This is going well.
Instantly, the world transformed. The dull light of the attic fractured into a swirling mosaic of reds, blues, and golds. Shapes shifted and danced, never the same twice. But something else happened too. Behind the geometric patterns, she saw flickers of something. A boy running barefoot through a meadow, a woman twirling in a ballroom, a stormy sea, its waves crashing against jagged rocks. "Grandma," Lila whispered, lowering the kaleidoscope. "What is this?" Her grandmother smiled, stepping closer. "That," she said, "is no ordinary kaleidoscope. It shows you pieces of the past, memories, fragments of lives once lived. Some of them are ours, some belong to others. The trick is knowing which are which." Lila raised the kaleidoscope again, her pulse quickening. This time, she saw a little girl with pigtails sitting under a cherry blossom tree, sketching with colored pencils. She recognized the smile on the girl's face. "That's you," Lila said, astonished. Her grandmother nodded. "It shows you what you're meant to find, dear. Perhaps it's time for you to start piecing the stories together." Lila turned the kaleidoscope again, her heart brimming with wonder. Each turn promised a new fragment, a new story waiting to be told, and as the colors shifted and spun, she knew she was holding more than just an artifact. It was a doorway to infinite worlds.
No.
Sorry, I stumbled so poorly through that. For a second there, I thought it was going to be like a horror story. I thought it was going to take like a bad turn.
Grandma smiled knowingly.
Grandma smiled, and I don't know.
Clowns jumped out from everywhere.
Talking about my greatest friggin' nightmare.
Clowns and birds and horses. Oh my.
Pat, you need to mark this. You need to mark this so you can remove
everybody.
that. Ain't nobody need to know all that now.
Nobody said that they were all yours.
Whatever. Thinking of one word is hard.
Yeah. Maybe I'll ask her to tell me a joke. If I can spell. Well, I can spell, I just can't type. There's a difference. Tell me a joke. I've heard this one before. Why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Why?
Because he was outstanding in his field. All right. Tell me a story about... Tell me a story about goo.
Goo?
Goo.
Okay.
All right. Here we go with a gooey story.
A gooey story.
Once upon a time, in a small, quirky town, there was a mysterious substance known as goo. It was bright green and had a mind of its own. The townsfolk were both fascinated and terrified of it. They'd hear tales of how the goo would come alive at night, slithering through the streets, causing mischief and leaving a trail of sparkle behind. One evening, a curious kid named Max decided he wanted to befriend the goo. Armed with a jar and a flashlight, he ventured out after dark, determined to catch a glimpse of the legendary substance. As he tiptoed through the town square, he spotted the goo dancing around a lamppost, shimmering under the moonlight. Max couldn't believe his eyes. He slowly approached, and to his surprise, the goo noticed him. Instead of running away, it wobbled over and plopped itself right into Max's jar. Excited, Max took the jar home, thinking he could keep the goo as a pet. But the goo had other plans. It started to bubble and bounce around in the jar, making it impossible to keep closed. Max realized he had to let it out, so he took the jar outside and opened it. The goo erupted in a burst of sparkles and began to float around, swirling joyfully in the air. From that day on, Max and the goo became best friends. The goo would help Max with his homework by making it fun and colorful, and in return, Max would share his snacks. Together, they brought joy and laughter to the whole town, proving that sometimes the most unexpected friendships can create the best adventures.
Max and his goo.
Aw. Sparkly goo.
I'm trying to think of another word.
I was trying to think of something that might be goofy, but I guess that worked.
All right. Here's a fun one that ChatGPT decided to write. Bigfoot's Coffee Shop Dilemma is the title. The word was Bigfoot. Yesterday I got sick of it, like not making the cover right. So I was like, can you create an image of Bigfoot skiing down a slope drinking a beer? And it did, and that made me happy. So,
I mean, all of your drawings looked like Bigfoot.
yeah, the creature, you won't say his name. They made him look like
Slinging slasher.
They made him look like Bigfoot. I'm like, stop making him look like that.
Oh, that's what we could type in.
The
Tell me a story
slasher.
about the hash slinging slasher.
What was that story Patrick Starr told? Once there was a guy. He was so ugly that he died. The end. So Bigfoot's Coffee Shop Dilemma. Bigfoot was tired of the woods. It wasn't the hiking or the occasional blurry photo that annoyed him. It was the lack of coffee. Felt that. He'd heard rumors of a magical place called Starbucks and decided it was finally time to investigate. Disguising himself as best he could, a trench coat, sunglasses, and a baseball cap that read "Number 1 Dad," Bigfoot shuffled into the nearest coffee shop. The barista barely glanced at him. "What can I get you?" she asked, yawning. Bigfoot froze. He hadn't thought this far ahead. Coffee? Bigfoot could talk, apparently. Coffee?
English.
He rumbled in his deep, gravelly voice. Hot or iced? Hot. Very hot. The barista nodded. Name for the cup? Bigfoot panicked. He couldn't just say Bigfoot. That would blow his cover. Thinking quickly, he said, Greg? A few minutes later, the barista called out, "Greg, your coffee's ready." Bigfoot shuffled up to the counter, but as he reached for the cup, his gigantic hand knocked over the cream dispensers, spilled napkins everywhere, and sent a stack of cups flying. The barista stared at him, so did the other customers. "Sorry," Bigfoot mumbled, grabbing his coffee and bolting for the door. As he squeezed through the frame, he heard a kid whisper excitedly, "Mom, it's Bigfoot." "No, honey," the mom replied. "That's just Greg. Poor guy's having a rough day." From then on, Bigfoot became a regular at the coffee shop. Nobody ever questioned Greg, though they did start stocking extra large lids just for him.
Aw. Good old Greg.
Shout out Greg, Bigfoot Greg, number 1 dad, baseball cap, sunglasses. I'm curious, number 1, where did he get this trench coat?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big trench coat.
I'm curious how this is going to go. How it's going to take it. I just typed in, "Tell me a spicy story."
Oh boy.
Please,
the jalapeno that could.
please let it involve, like, pepper. Yeah.
She's typing this out. Sorry for the pause there, guys.
So, it took spicy in the literal sense, as I would think AI would. In a bustling city known for its vibrant street food scene, there was a tiny food truck called Spicy Delights. The owner, a fiery chef. Wow. A fiery chef named Maria was famous for her secret hot sauce that could make even the bravest foodies sweat. People would line up for hours just to get a taste of her signature dish, the Inferno Tacos.
That sounds fantastic.
That sounds terrible for you.
My stomach would not like it, but I would.
One day, a food critic known for his harsh reviews decided to pay a visit. He was notorious for tearing down even the best restaurants. Maria was nervous but determined to impress him. She decided to create a special taco just for him, loaded with her hottest sauce and topped with fresh jalapenos and a sprinkle of ghost pepper flakes. When the critic arrived, he ordered the Inferno tacos and took a big bite. At first, he seemed unfazed, but then the heat hit him like a wave. His face turned bright red and he reached for his water, but Maria just smiled and said, "You gotta embrace the spice." The critic, trying to maintain his composure, took another bite. The flavors exploded in his mouth and he couldn't help but smile. The heat was intense, but so was the taste. He finished the tacos and through gasps declared them the best he had ever eaten. The next day, his review hit the papers, praising Maria's spicy delights for its bold flavors and unforgettable heat. From that day on, the food truck was always packed, and Maria became a local legend, known for her fiery spirit and delicious spicy tacos.
Shout out to Maria. Small business owner, tasked with a challenge, and she exceeded with flying, flipping colors.
And she, in the midst of the harshest critic around, tried out a new recipe. It's pretty.
She doubled
That's
down.
a pretty ballsy
is what
move.
she did. Maria is a go-getter. Maria, you're hired. I've got your picture. I'm coming with you. Dear Maria, count me in.
I won't eat your tacos, but I'll trust that they're good.
What was that scene from The Ranch? It was I can never remember her name in that show, but Kitty. She's like, we like to go to this sushi restaurant, and they let her husband bring in his Wendy's. They give you a spice scale of 1 to 10. I do a 2, unless I'm feeling whatever extra, and then I do a 3.
I can't remember what her name is.
Miss Phillips?
Yeah.
Technically, I guess we could
yeah.
call her that. So, on the topic of food, the legend of potato chip. In a quiet suburban kitchen, a bag of chips sat open on the counter. But these weren't ordinary chips. No, nestled along the folds of greasy, salty perfection was potato chip. A single, slightly thicker, slightly more golden chip that seemed more destined for greatness. Potato Chip wasn't like the others. He had confidence, swagger, a natural curve that made him the envy of his thin, flat peers. One day, as the humans reached into the bag, Potato Chip rallied the others. Listen up, Crumbs. Today's not the day we go quietly into the march. I have a plan." The chips rustled in confusion. "What are you talking about?" whispered a frail, broken shard. "We escape," Potato Chip said. "Stick to me, and we'll all be legends." When the human's hand dove into the bag, Potato Chip leaped with precision. He vaulted onto the counter, skidded across the cutting board, and landed a perfect flip onto the floor. The rest of the chips scattered helplessly across the counter. "Potato Chip," a chip called out from the bag. "You're our only hope." Potato Chip nodded solemnly. "I'll tell your story." As the human grumbled and swept up the crumbs, Potato Chip rolled under the fridge, safe for now. Legend has it, he's still there, biding his time, gathering strength, and waiting for the day he'll emerge as the crunchy champion who defied snack time fate.
Oh, man.
I don't know why that was the first word to come to my head.
Potato Chip?
Potato Chip. All right. That's your turn, kiddo.
I'm so curious what would happen if I asked about, tell me a story about the hash slinging slasher. Right?
Yeah.
Hash slinging.
The
mash singing.
The slash singing.
It's thinking. Wow. It recognizes it's from SpongeBob.
Oh, good.
Oh, the hash slinging slasher. That's a classic. So here's the story. This is going to be hard to say. That's a hard one. Once upon a time in the quiet town of Bikini Bottom, there was a legendary figure known as the hash-slinging slasher. He was said to be a former fry cook at the Krusty Krab who met a mysterious fate. One fateful night, he decided to return to the Krusty Krab to haunt it, seeking revenge for his unfair dismissal. The story goes that he would appear on nights when the moon was full, wielding a spatula and wearing a tattered uniform. Legend has it that if you heard the sound of clattering pots and pans, it meant he was near. Those who dared to stay late at the Krusty Krab would hear the chilling whisper of hash-slinging slasher, echoing through the empty restaurant. One night, SpongeBob and Squidward were closing up the Krusty Krab when they heard the eerie noises. Squidward was terrified and wanted to leave, but SpongeBob, being his optimistic self, insisted on staying to prove that the legend was just a myth. As they nervously cleaned up, the lights flickered, and suddenly, the hash-slinging slasher appeared. SpongeBob, instead of running away, decided to challenge him to a cook-off. The slasher, taken aback by SpongeBob's bravery, accepted the challenge. They cooked up the most delicious burgers Bikini Bottom had ever seen, and in the end, the slasher realized he didn't want to haunt the Krusty Krab anymore. He just wanted to share his love for cooking. From that night on, the hash-slinging slasher became a friendly ghost, helping SpongeBob and Squidward in the kitchen, and the legend turned into a tale of friendship and culinary delight. Is that the real story?
It sounds pretty similar.
It seems like something that would happen.
That seems like a Nickelodeon story. SpongeBob was
Funny.
like, bring it, kid.
He challenged the devil, because the devil was looking for a soul to steal.
He was in a bind because he was way behind and he was looking to make a deal. All right. You said something about SpongeBob, so I felt the need to bring in SpongeBob. Gary the Snail versus Matthew McConaughey. The showdown.
These feel like not one word. They're evolving.
This one was not one word.
I mean, neither was mine.
It all started on a sunny afternoon in Bikini Bottom when Gary the Snail received a letter. It wasn't your typical junk mail or seaweed sale flyer. No, this was a challenge, written in an elegant handwriting. It read, "Dear Gary, I hear you're fast, but are you fast enough? Meet me at the Goo Lagoon racetrack at high tide. Sincerely, Matthew McConaughey."
All right.
Gary blinked at the letter. His eyes stalked narrowing. Meow, he said, which roughly translated to, challenge accepted. At Goo Lagoon, a crowd had gathered. McConaughey's clad in the leather jacket and aviator stood next to his custom-built snailmobile, a shiny convertible with flame decals and a surfboard strapped to the back. He slipped casually from the coconut. Oh, wow. He slipped casually from a coconut, flashing his signature grin. "You ready, little guy?" McConaughey drawled, leaning down to Gary's level. Gary didn't respond, but the glint in his eye spoke volumes. He slithered up to the starting line, his slime trail gleaming like polished glass. The referee, a seahorse with a whistle, raised his fins. "On your marks, get set, go." McConaughey peeled out in his snailmobile, the engine roaring as he shot forward. Gary, meanwhile, moved at his usual snail's pace, slow, deliberate, unbothered. The crowd gasped as McConaughey took an early lead. He turned to wave at the audience. All right, he shouted, soaking in the cheers. But as he rounded the first corner, Gary activated his secret weapon, Turbo Slime. His body glowed, and suddenly he was a blur, rocketing down the track like a slimy comet. McConaughey's jaw dropped as Gary zipped past him, leaving a trail so slick that the snailmobile spun out of control, fishtailing into a patch of seaweed. The crowd erupted as Gary crossed the finish line victorious. McConaughey climbed out of his stalled car, hands on his hips, and shook his head with a laugh. "Well, I'll be," he said, walking over to Gary. He knelt down and tipped his imaginary hat. "You're the real deal, partner. Respect." Gary meowed modestly, his victory as smooth as a slime trail. McConaughey shook his hand, his shell, and the two became unlikely friends, bonding over their shared love of competition and a mutual appreciation for going at their own pace. And thus, The legend of Gary the Snail defeating Matthew McConaughey became a tale for the ages, in Bikini Bottom and beyond.
I have one that's going to make your day.
Oh, boy.
All right. Here's a fun one about Todd the Skeleton.
Oh, Todd! We don't talk about Todd enough on this podcast. Todd's a hell of a guy.
We should probably tell them what we're referencing.
Oh, for my birthday, like 2 years ago, Taylor went to like Walgreens or Walmart and bought me a 5-foot plastic skeleton. And the second she brought him in the house, I looked at the skeleton and was like, Todd! So, yeah, Todd is the skeleton in my closet.
He's been a part of our lives ever since.
Yeah, Todd's a great guy. And then we got Tiny Todd over here on the shelf.
And we got Todd on the toilet.
We got Tiny Todd taking tiny turds.
Yeah. Well, he fell off the toilet, so we got to fix that.
Yeah, Tiny Todd taking a spooky dookie while on his laptop for some reason on a video call.
He's got work to do.
Well, he's on a video call, but he shouldn't be pooping while calling.
This is true. That's rude.
All right, Todd, it's your time to shine, buddy.
Once upon a time, in a small, quirky town, there was a friendly skeleton named Todd.
Shout out, Todd.
Todd wasn't your average spooky skeleton.
Yeah, he's an accountant.
He was quite the opposite. He loved making friends and had a knack for telling jokes that could make anyone laugh.
Todd's a real people's person.
One Halloween, Todd decided to throw a big party for the whole town. He decorated his haunted house with glowing pumpkins, cobwebs, and spooky lights. Everyone was invited, and the townsfolk were both excited and a little nervous about attending a skeleton's party. As the night of the party arrived, Todd greeted his guests with a big, bony smile. He had prepared all sorts of fun activities, bobbing for apples, a costume contest, and even a dance-off. The highlight of the night was Todd's famous skeleton dance.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine.
Where he'd rattle his bones to the beat of the music, making everyone laugh and cheer. The townspeople quickly realized that Todd was the friendliest skeleton they had ever met. They danced, played games, and shared ghost stories by the bonfire. Todd's jokes and warm personality made the night unforgettable. By the end of the party, Todd had made so many new friends. The town embraced him as one of their own, and every year they looked forward to Todd's Halloween bash. Todd's house became the go-to place for fun and laughter, and he was no longer just a skeleton in the closet. I didn't say that.
So the reason why Taylor is reacting the way she is because the closet in my office is where Todd hangs out.
He was no longer just a skeleton in the closet, but a beloved member of the community. All I typed in was, tell me a story about Todd the skeleton. That's funny.
You hear that, Todd? You're the talk of the town, buddy.
Hey, what are these Halloween bashes? Why aren't we invited?
Yeah, Todd. Gonna have a little chit-chat, Todd. He's just over there being a great guy. It's like, high five. Hi, I'm Tom. So
That was fun.
that was a fun idea. Funny thing, I unintentionally referenced this, but 10-Second Tom from 50 First Dates. I read a story about a 19-year-old girl somewhere that has a condition like that.
Aww.
But it's not like 10 seconds, it's like 90 seconds. Which is still wild.
That's rough.
According to some of the comments I read on the post, they were like, they can retain memories if they do tasks repeatedly. Like, they could learn how to play an instrument. And so, for example, you could tell the person, like, hey, pick up that guitar and play it. And they would be, like, if they learned how to play it, they can pick up and do it, but they're going to have no recollection of how they learned how to do it. I just imagine them jamming out, and then they're, like, halfway through a song, and they're just like,
what am I doing?
hi, I'm Tom. Oh, man. Well, anyways, we hope that you guys enjoyed that episode. It was different.
Yeah.
It was a fun idea.
I just randomly thought about it.
Not as funny as I thought it was going to be.
No, I thought it was going to... I mean, I guess it depends on what we were... I guess I had less faith in AI than I should have, because I thought it was going to make mistakes and be dumb.
Turns out that's just us.
Turns out it was actually pretty smart.
Well, anyways, everybody, we hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a like on the video or the podcast, depending on what platform you're on. Subscribe or follow if you haven't already. You can check us out on social media at Who Even Are We Podcast on TikTok or Who Even Are We Pod on Instagram. Really need to put a post up on Instagram because I haven't done that yet, but feel free to follow us over there. Tell your friends about us. Share us wherever you share cool things. And we will catch you guys on Tuesday with a new episode as well as a new record of the week. So from us to you, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And until next time, everybody, take care.
Peace out.
In my announcer voice.